Hi, welcome to the New Hope Christian College podcast. Thank you guys for tuning in.
My name is Donald Grafton, and I serve as the Vice President of Academic Affairs here.
My name is Zion, and I'm a freshman.
My name is Abby, and I am a junior here. Well, I think before we get into the depths and the actual complex stuff about college, I think we should start with, when am I ready to start college?
Okay. I think that's a great question. When to start college, I would say, is when you're ready. When a student has embraced the idea that they want to become a better person, when they're ready to embrace and own their own education and take learning on for themselves, I think that that's a clear indicator of when to get started. Mm-hmm. But if they're still, you see young kids, and I have kids, and we were all kids, where education is just hoops that you jump through because other people are telling you to do so. Mm-hmm. If that's the case, then maybe you're not quite ready for college. But once you have embraced it, yes, I want to do this and I want to do great at this, that's probably a good indicator of when to start.
Yeah. I'd say that a good time to start college is when you want to start college in the way of you want to seek a meaning. When you have a reason to start college, whether it be I just want better education, whether it be I just want to be ready for the world, or if it's I know exactly the career I'm going for and I need to work your way towards it. When you have a reason to go to college, you should go to college.
Mm-hmm. I think a lot of the time, especially in today's day and age, it's I'll be ready for college when I turn 17 or 18. They tend to put a number of when they are ready, when really it's when am I personally ready? We have people who started when they're 26, 30, or even in their, later adulthood. Mm-hmm. But here we also have someone who started when they were 15 and still going on in their, in their early teen, or I guess later teenage life, mm-hmm. to start college. So there really is no number to when I am ready to start college. It's rather, when am I personally ready to do it, and does God want me to be pursuing this education now?
Yeah. And how did you know you were ready for college?
Yeah, so that is a difficult question for me, honestly, because I honestly didn't know if I was ready. But I think what really helped me was, going into a Christian college, I was very prayerful. I definitely talked to God about it for a few months. And I was actually in between New Hope Christian College and a different college called Southwestern Assemblies of God University in Texas. And I got accepted into both. And it was a matter of, okay, instead of asking which college I should choose, it's asking God, okay, where do you want me to be? Mm-hmm. And I remember one night, it was 3 o'clock in the morning. It was I just woke up and it was a shot of energy that just came through me. It was as if I was sober, I wasn't drinking or anything. It was I just felt I was so sober and awoken. And the Lord said, you're going to New Hope Christian College. And automatically I was okay, I'm just going to follow through with this. And I called the other college saying, thank you for the acceptance, but I won't be able to attend your college. And they're it's okay. And it's funny because it wasn't even my admissions counselor that called me. It was someone else. And she was oh yeah, that lady you were calling this whole time, yeah, she got fired. And I'm okay, that's funny. Well, and it's cool that Auntie Leslie Kyriakos is one of our, she handles
enrollment
finances.
Director?
Yes, enrollment.
Yeah.
And the fact that she's just been so faithful and constantly called me every week, checking in on my process, that very much helped me in my confidence that I should come here. So the fact that our staff here, they're just super involved and just really care about the students in general.
Similarly with me, I failed out of college twice before actually coming to New Hope. Mm. And I think I had the right motives for going to college those first times, but it was clearly not a God thing. And I'm grateful that God put the stumbling blocks, if you will, in the way that caused me to choose a different direction in those ways that He led me here. Mm-hmm. And of course, I'm a graduate of New Hope Christian College as well, so super grateful for it. And I similar had an experience where I was choosing between two colleges, one here and one in Kansas, Manhattan Christian College, I think is what it was. And Mrs. Grafton and I, we prayed about it, and we narrowed it down to those two. And I felt like God was saying that we could choose between the two. And I looked at the one in Manhattan, Kansas, and then the one in Oregon, and I was like, I am not going to Kansas. And similarly, I would not have liked to have gone to Texas. I would have certainly have come here. So.
Yeah.
Yeah. Good.
Zion? Oh wait, I think you already you already answered that. Okay. So next question would be, how do you balance serving, grades, and social life?
Me?
Yeah.
I would like to say I'm done with school, but how did I? That's a good question. I think it's just a matter of streamlining what you do and how you do it. I think that a number of people really underestimate how much time they waste. Students in particular. I'm somewhat of a high energy, relatively efficient person, and I'm actually sometimes as mean as it may sound, I think people waste a lot of time.
Yeah.
You know, I remember when I was getting my doctorate degree, serving at the church. We serve at a Chinese church here, preaching on every other month. Serving on the leadership team, helping out. I worked full-time for the college here. I coached 2 soccer teams, led one to a regional championship, and got a 4.0 in my doctorate studies. So I'm wondering, and of course at the time I had 5 kids in the house, maybe 6 at the time. So there's so much time, and I didn't feel overwhelmed at that time. So I think that it's just a matter of being efficient with our time, saying no to the things that God doesn't want us to be involved with, whether that be wasting time on YouTube and Instagram and TikTok or whatever it might be, or even just taking too much time for meals or socializing when it's not appropriate. You know, you could really streamline those things. And of course, relationships are important. And even at that time, my family and I, we ate dinner together 6 or 7 days a week. I mean, almost every night we had dinner together. So relationships, that was part of it, but you just have to manage those and manage the time well.
Yeah. I'd say the most important thing when balancing your busy life is priorities. You need to set your priorities first. Like, first thing you do, you need to have a good set of priorities. So you need to know, what am I valuing the most? What am I going to put the most time into, and why and how? And so if you're putting God first, your family second, or school, you got to figure out, it's up to you, but I mean, God first always. And then after that, you got to fill that in and think, what do I really want to work towards? If you don't have a set of priorities, you're never going to work towards them. But once you have those set in your mind, your priorities set, you work to strive towards them, and you will be able to realize, oh, I'm actually achieving the things I'm striving for. And you have to be aware of that before you start, because if you start without a map, you're not going to end up where you want to go because you don't know where you're going.
Yep, I agree. I love the little word picture or illustration. I don't remember what speaker did it, but it has a glass jar there, and if you put the big things in first, you have room for the little things.
Yeah.
But if you fill it up with the little things, then you don't have room in it for the important things, the priorities, like you're saying.
Yeah.
Very good.
Yeah. I love the illustration that Pastor Wayne talked to us about, where it's like not everything's going to be like equally balanced. Some things are going to have to weigh a little more, and it's up to you to equalize it, to make it.
Yep, move the fulcrum.
Move the fulcrum. That's what it was. So you have to move your fulcrum to where it balances, because if something's way heavier and you're not, equalizing it, it's just going to go up and down, and you're not going to be able to balance that. And I think also just remembering, like, life is not going to be perfect.
Yeah.
Things are going to be thrown at you. Like, I know I had stuff thrown at me this semester, and it was up to me whether or not I wanted to move my fulcrum to balance it. My fulcrum was like right here. And it was like this for so long. But I know like the last month, it just really hit me, and the Lord's like, Abby, you got this, you're capable. So slowly I was able to balance it to the point where my grades are fine, my emotional and mental and physical life is good, but most importantly, my spiritual walk with God is good. So
Yeah, I think that that's a good illustration that Pastor Wayne uses, because it's not like you could just list out all your priorities and do things like this. It's really working with God to spend time where is needed. Sometimes if there's a hiccup in the family or a hiccup at work, maybe you're going to need more time there, and you have to move your fulcrum, slide your fulcrum back and forth accordingly. So yeah, that's a good analogy.
I'd also say a very important thing is knowing your schedule and knowing your time. So, my priorities are God first, so I serve in the church to give time to God. I read my Bible to give time to God. I say school is your priority. You need to have a time set aside. We're going to study. You already know when your classes are. Don't miss them. Set your schedule around the important things. Like you said, filling up the jar. You were filling up our schedule similarly, where we put the most important thing in there. It's the biggest thing. And then we could find little gaps to put the small things in that may be like our hobbies that fulfill us. But to do that, you need to first have the big things in there first. Otherwise, if a big thing doesn't fit, that's a lot bigger an issue if the small things don't fit.
Yeah, I agree. That's excellent. And again, putting those rocks in there, those calendars in there is essential. And I would say limit those things sometimes too. For example, when I was doing the doctorate program, I would say, okay, I only have an hour and a half this evening to do my homework.
Yeah.
Well, now I have a whole different mindset of, oh my goodness, I have to work on this homework for an hour and a half. That was my limit. So how much can I get done, and how good can I do with the amount of time that I have? And just doing that helped me to excel, not waste the time, but just really maximize it.
Yeah.
that's good. Well, that leads on to our next question. And within balancing, everything, how do you break the habit of procrastination?
Procrastination. Procrastination nation is what it seems nowadays. It is a plague. It's horrible. I would say there's again, an ownership of the problem, an ownership of wanting to succeed and all of that. I think that that's huge. If folks don't care about how well they do, then they're never going to overcome the procrastination. They don't own it. I think I like word pictures, and I like solving or fixing the way that I think. I want to think more biblically. And so I try to trace my mind, my thoughts and all of that, and I try to just think differently. And one of the pictures that came to mind with this is, with procrastination, it's like turning in your assignments or doing your work and all of that. I would say it's a whole lot like picking fruit. Okay? So if you pick a fruit, and everybody picks oranges and tomatoes and all of that, they pick them a little bit early, right? So that after the shipping and the marketing and all of that, or the putting them out in the retail, so that when you get them and take them home, they're ready to eat, and you have a little bit of wiggle room there. But if we wait and just keep pushing things off, and then don't pick it until it's ripe or ready or due, all of a sudden, by the time you get it, it's going to be rotten and nasty. Or if you don't pick it at all, of course, it's just going to die on the tree. And nobody wants that. But if we're not willing to embrace it and own it, and really have that mindset of, I want to do excellent, I want to produce good fruit for Jesus in all my academics and even beyond, if we're not really to embrace that, own that, then procrastination really doesn't matter to that person.
I'd say also, when it comes to procrastination, it does come back to priorities. It's really a big mental battle. But the thing is, if you are thinking, this is my priority, so I do it now. Like if we're talking college, that's a high priority for me. And so when I get an assignment, it's not, I have an assignment, it's like, this assignment is important and why. And if you think of something as important, you might be more inclined to do it. Another big thing though is distractions are so easy nowadays. Like I'll find myself doing my homework and I'll pull up my phone and I'm like, oh, I just need to check something real quick, I tell myself. And then I'll be scrolling on my phone for who knows how long, and then my assignment's going to be late. So what I do is I'll literally throw my phone to the other side of the room. if it's important enough to make me walk across the room, I'll look at it and I'll put it back down. I don't take it with me because I know I'll get distracted at some point if I have a phone with me, which sadly is the world we live in today, but there's ways around it. Just leave it behind. Don't bring it with you where you're studying.
Yeah. I think with battling procrastination, you have to have some self-discipline.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And one thing that helped me a lot was when I know there's a big assignment and I feel like I'm not capable of doing it right away, I give myself time. So like 10 minutes, I'll look at it, do a little bit of something, write something, take a break, come back to it for maybe 20 minutes. Okay, I'm starting to understand it now, go back to it. And just taking small breaks in between and giving more time for the actual assignment. And you get like maybe half of it done within an hour rather than, I don't know how to do it, I'm just gonna throw it off to the side.
Yeah.
But it's like if you actually give yourself the time to process the assignment little by little, you can actually get it done.
Yeah. And I think, too, one of the proven methods of fixing procrastination is just doing that, saying, looking at the project and saying, okay, well, I'll try it for 10 minutes. I'll give it 10 minutes and go from there. Then we're not overwhelmed. We're not, okay, it's going to take me for hours and hours, and I don't want to do that. But if you just commit to doing it for 10 minutes, you'll end up getting into the flow of it. You'll start to understand it. It won't be so overwhelming. And then the assignment or the projects usually flow from that.
Yeah. And also it's good to make it your own. Like, if you can enjoy something, you'll be more motivated to do it. And so try to think about, why do I want to do this? And then you think, it's an assignment. But no, like, why do you want to do it? There's reason behind everything. There's reason behind these assignments. It's to help you somewhere. And that could be motivation enough, but also you could find enjoyment in the process of it. So if you have a research paper, try to understand what you're researching in a way of not, how can I write a paper of this, but try to really get it in your own mind first. Because if it's in your head, it's just coming out of your head instead of trying to drag it across Wikipedia tabs or whatever. But if you make it your own in a way where you can enjoy doing it, it will be harder for you to procrastinate.
And I think, too, similarly, is once you see the practicality of it.
Yeah.
When you could embrace the reason for doing it, like you're saying, then it'll be much easier to get started. I think of all the drills and the scales on the piano, the football or soccer drills and everything. When they're just drills and you're, I just got to do it. But when you actually see and recognize the fruit of that, the reason for that and how it's going to benefit you and the people in your life later, then it's, it is more important, and you're more motivated to do it. So, very good.
Yeah. And I think the one thing that a lot of students has kind of battled with is balancing, doing homework versus the things that they want to do.
Yep.
So the way that I have told some of the students is, I know you love doing this, but how about you turn it into, okay, I'll make this an incentive. So like a student was like, I don't know how to do this assignment, but I do love golfing, and it's like I do that instead. It's like, okay, well, let's change this a bit. How about you tell yourself, I'm going to do an hour of homework, and after that, I'll do like 30 minutes of golfing. And then after that, I'll do 2 more hours, an hour of golfing, and just kind of making your passions and the things you love become like an incentive just for that semester, so you can actually pass with, decent grades, but still being able to do the things you love with people,
Yeah.
We try to teach our kids, and something I learned here as a student, you pay now and play later, rather than play now and pay later.
Yeah.
And if you think about the biblical picture of that, or the worldview behind that, we should be walking our life right now in a sense of responsibility and seeking God and doing what God wants.
Yeah.
And then the results come, the fruit of that, the rewards of that come later, rather than those who are just living for the moment now and then unfortunately pay later.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So the reality of starting college. So part of this would be like the importance of grades and importance of starting right away. So Dr. G, you went through college already.
Yep.
How would you say like the importance of grades and importance of starting right away is like in this?
Yeah, good question. When I started here at New Hope, I had not read a book in 10 years. I mean, I read the Bible, but I hadn't read anything. Maybe I'd look through a how-to manual or something like that, but literally didn't read anything besides the Bible for about 10 years. So I was way behind. And I took the ACE, the Achieving College Excellence, the remedial class, learning class, and things like that. And I had a lot of catching up to do. And I think that actually frames my my answer here. I think that learning is a skill that you can develop, and I think that there are practices and drills that really support you in that. One of those is absolutely starting off strong. I don't know how many people, if you look at athletes, how many athletes get to the field and before the game they're stretching out, right? They're putting their equipment on, if they want fancy tape around their hands or over their laces for soccer or whatever it might be. They're doing that all well before the game. They're not coming to the game right on time and then playing, trying to get ready. And unfortunately, what I see a lot of times in the classroom is people show up, class starts at 8, they'll show up at 8 o'clock, and they have missed that opportunity to get in the mindset of learning, to recall maybe what had been discussed last class, maybe to think about what might be on this quiz that's going to be in the next minute or so. And they haven't really sorted out the content of the class that is about to occur, right? So the whole class now, they're playing catch up. They're, I know, now I get it. Instead of tracking along with the instructor and the learning and everything, they're already behind. And I would say nobody likes playing in a sport when they're already losing. Yeah. It's real easy to give up and get distracted when they're already behind a couple of points or whatever. But if you show up early, get that first goal in or get the first score, then it's like, yeah, I got this, and you can track along, and it just makes learning, the science of learning, so much easier.
Yeah. The importance of grades to me kind of shows how much effort I'm putting in. But when I'm thinking about my grades, I'm not really looking at it as this is a letter on a piece of paper, because a letter itself doesn't mean much. But if I'm thinking I'm at this school for a reason, I'm not here out of obligation. I'm here because I want to learn this. Yeah. So those letter grades aren't a review necessarily of how well I performed tests, but to me it's how well did I actually learn these things, because I'm here because I want to learn them. So if I'm failing a class, that means I'm failing at my goal that I set. Yeah. I set a goal to prepare myself for my calling. And so if I'm falling behind at that, then I'm falling behind in my life. And so I see it as more of, this is the reason I'm here is more important than these letter grades, but these letter grades are a reflection of how much effort I'm putting in and how much I'm also taking away from this. Because if I could see I'm getting an A in a class, I'd say I probably have a pretty good understanding of the subject at matter, like the subject at hand there. Importance of starting right away. This kind of goes back to procrastination. If we are just putting it off, and then we have a lot more in the end. And if I have 30 assignments all due on Friday that are given to me on Monday, if I do 15 of them even on Friday, then all those assignments are going to have, well, let's say I had 30, they're going to have a 30th of the attention that I give. And then if they have only a fraction of my attention, then I'm not going to learn anything from it, and also I'm not going to produce anything from it either. So then it's wasting time. You might think, I'm getting it done still. You might be getting it done, maybe even get a good grade, but if you rush through it, it's not in your head. And then if it's not in your head, then why are we at the school, We're here to learn.
We'll give Zion an A for that answer. Yeah, good. And I would say grades, I think that you're right, that the letter on the paper is not as important as what it reflects in your heart. Right?
Yeah.
And what are you learning from it? And we tell our kids, Mrs. Grafton and I, we tell our kids that too. We want you to try hard. We want you to learn. I won't paint a rosy picture. Not all kids learn the same, right?
Yeah.
And we have 6 kids, and not all our kids learn at the same rate. We have some that make school absolutely look easy, right? You know, some of them, like Jasmine here behind the camera, she makes learning look very easy. And we have other ones that don't. They struggle at it.
Yeah.
But what is the effort that they're putting behind it? What are they learning from it? That's more important. Is this a matter of neglect or rebellion? That's a different issue. But if they're putting out the effort and trying hard and learning well, fantastic. Then who cares what it says on the paper?
Yeah.
I will say, set academic goals and make the most of those. There were some classes when I was a student here where I was really not interested in the topic. Those are the ones that I said, okay, I'm going to get an A. Okay, maybe I won't put my 100% into this class, but I'll get an A, and then I'll focus on the classes I like exegesis and the Bible and all of that, right? So the theology classes, I'm going to maximize those. I'm going to go over and above and all the expectations and everything. But then the other ones, I trust that the instructors and the curriculum, the instructors in the school put the curriculum together for my benefit. So, okay, I'll just get in there and I'll get an A and I'll learn. And I was actually thoroughly blessed by the classes that I did that, because God wanted me to learn something from those classes, whether I did or didn't want to learn it at that time. I gave myself to the process, trusted God in that. And actually, I got a ton from those classes.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think a big part of knowing how to start right away and to do it strong is kind of knowing, like, okay, what does the college provide? What resources does the college and the people around me provide, and what can they help me in? And so we have this program called Populi, and I noticed, like, it does give us like a month in advance of the syllabus, what books we need. And so if you go through that, and that assignments happen to be on there, schedule those assignments right away. Well, these ones will be due on Tuesdays, so let's try to finish them Monday night or Sunday night, So just really knowing what resources you have is a great start to starting strong. And for grades, the importance of grades, like I totally agree with both of you guys. Like, a letter doesn't define who you are or how smart you are. It's just a matter of what effort you put into it. And there are going to be semesters where a B is going to look your best or a C is going to look your best, as long as you know that you have done your very best to obtain that grade. Instead of, I know I'm capable of an A, but I'm just going to scrape by with a B because it's still passing. You're not really putting that grade as like an importance or significance if you know you're capable of getting that A in the first place. So as long as you have done your best, the letter is not going to matter. It's the effort you put into it. So, how do you succeed in college?
By doing your work.
Yeah.
I think that is the number one way to succeed in college, is just do the assignments. We tell the students, make a goal to do every assignment, to turn every assignment in on time. If you do that, you will succeed. I actually design my courses in such a way that if you just do all the work, you will pass. You might not get 100% A or whatever, but you will get the learning, and you will pass the class if you just show up and do all the assignments. So I would say number one way to succeed is to just to be faithful in that. The second way is setting yourself up for success, like we talked about in the beginning, about just in terms of starting strong. Come into class a little bit early. Think through. It's interesting, most communication, including books and TV shows and even this podcast, will have an introduction and a conclusion. If you set yourself up by introducing yourself to the class, come a couple minutes early, think through what's going to happen, anticipate, maybe even ask the instructor some questions. What are we talking about today, right? And then what you're doing is that builds these file folders in your noggin for you to plug the content into. Whereas if you go into without that introduction, you're kind of like, where are we going? I don't understand, and it sticks less easily, right? It's more difficult for it to stick. So having that introduction, and then right after class, okay, what did we learn? What did we and just, even if it's a minute, write down, summarize, go over all the things. Oh, okay, this is, and that introduction, that conclusion really does help students succeed. Unfortunately, I had to learn that the hard way of man, why isn't this sticking? And then just through trial and error, I learned that really did help me.
Yeah.
So it's a very broad question. Success can look like a lot of different things. So maybe, I think really it looks like when you set a goal, are you reaching that goal? So is your goal to get straight A's? Then if you get straight A's, you succeeded. If your goal is to be properly equipped for what the ministry or the even career you're going into, if you come out of college thinking, I am properly equipped, and if you have the resources that you came to college for, then you succeeded in college. But I'd say really it comes down to, what is your goal? Why are you here? Because it's not high school anymore. We're not in high school. You choose to be here. And so if you're choosing to be here, you should at least have a goal of, I'm here so I can be prepared. I'm here so I can better learn. There's going to be a reason behind it. When you have a reason, then that's what your success is based off of, not off of, none of us passing a class, because anyone can pass a class if they try. But success comes from, did I get why I'm here? Am I accomplishing my goal?
Yeah, very good. And I totally agree. Yeah.
And I love how you said like success can look like different ways, because success in college is not just passing with a good GPA and getting the diploma. It's looking at every aspect of your life, like spiritually, physically, mentally, academically. And so academics, it's like you want to, in order to succeed in that, you have to schedule your assignments ahead of time, turning things in on time, like you said. But if it's, your personal well-being, for example, spending time with your friends, the girls' dorm would have like dance parties, the boys would have Joe blasting almost every night. Like that's how they fill themselves up, and then they can go back into the grind of, okay, let's go back into doing homework after this. And then, spiritually, do your devos, spending time with God in the morning, at night, whatever works for you, whatever time that you feel like it's most, I guess, personal with you and God. So just looking at different aspects of your life and going back to like the balance question, like making sure you're balancing your life so that you can succeed in college in all these ways.
Yeah. I would say to manage with that is manage sleep, right? If physically, you're eating a ton of sugar and then a bunch of coffee and then you can't sleep and you show up late all the time, or conversely, just oversleeping or whatever it might be, it's going to be harder to succeed. And certainly if you were not close to God, then it's going to be difficult to succeed spiritually and academically. I mean, it really is. And I would argue academics is a spiritual pursuit, right? Loving the Lord our God with all our mind and disciplining our mind for the glory of God is what we're doing here. So, yeah, very good.
And so also you said, eating a lot of sugar, drinking a lot of coffee, like take care of yourself too. Like drink water. Water is so important anyway, but take care of yourself in a way of, is this holding me back? If so, maybe try to think of how you can better equip yourself physically too, whether it be being dehydrated will mess with your mind also, so.
Very good.
God, sleep, and hydration. Okay. All right. So this last question is, how does GPA matter after college?
And of course I have to answer that. And I would say yes, in certain circumstances. Again, what's more important is, did you get what you came here for? Did you get the learning, the experience, the knowledge, the skills, all those things that you came here for? If so, fantastic. But there are places, there are situations, circumstances where the GPA really does matter. If you're going into a field that requires a graduate degree, such as counseling, some education things, or even higher levels of academics, then absolutely GPA matters. I will tell you, when an individual comes to try to get a job here, to teach here, we require that they submit transcripts. First thing I look at are the grades. I look at their GPA. I look at what classes that they got to A's and B's in and maybe which ones they didn't. Because if an individual is not good at school, why would we hire them to serve at a school? So particularly in education, and then of course for graduate degrees. But for the most part, people see the degree, whether or not you completed it, and whether or not you have the knowledge and the skills necessary for that field.
Yeah.
I'd say it has some importance in the way of it's a measurement. And so, like you said, yeah, a school, if you're trying to work at a school, they're going to check that. They're going to think, well, how did they do school? But say you're going to be something that's not necessarily directly tied back to education, there's a good chance that they won't even look at your GPA. But the importance is still there to yourself of, am I really ready for this job I'm taking on? Because you see that GPA, if you have 4.0 in your main study that you've worked your 4 years for or more, then if you see a 4.0 GPA in that, you're going to think, I'm ready. Like,
Sure.
it's
A
going
little
to
bit
be,
of confidence.
yeah. But also, I don't think it's the number that matters, but it is a measurement similar to grades of how well do I really understand that? Because that's what matters the most is the reason, again, why are you here? So you want to make sure you're actually getting something out of college, and it's a measurement of, well, did you put in and get out what you wanted?
Very good.
Yeah, totally agree. I definitely think that it's not highly important, but I believe it is important to an extent. So like if I want to go to like a master's program, of course I want a pretty high GPA of 3.5 or higher. It just really depends on your goals and where you want to lead yourself in life after college. But in a sense of the overall picture, it's like, well, straight A doesn't get me to heaven. My salvation does, you know.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's all in a matter of like how you view it, I guess, and just seeing how much effort you put into getting that GPA that you wanted.
I think it's great that it seems like we have similar opinions on how to succeed, on why go to college and all those things, some study habits and tricks and all of that just to help folks succeed.
All right, well, it was great to check out the hows and the whys of how we do college and why we do college. So,
Yeah, and I'll leave you guys with this final encouragement. From wherever you are, just remember you have a good support group, you're capable, you have potential, and if you want to unleash that potential, please check out newhope.edu.
that's right. And tune in next time. Thank you guys so much for tuning in to our podcast, and we hope to have you listen to us again.